You can subscribe for more. You can also hit the bell icon if you want to be notified when we post new videos. I was Elusu.
Hi friends, and welcome to wives.vs.world. I'm Jackie.
I'm Anya.
And today we want to take you on a trip down memory lane to the time when we met each other. You all saw the very clickbaity title. Wasn't that clever? So we're going to talk about how J-Rock made us gay, which is obviously not true. But, you know, it's a little true. But mainly we want to talk about how J-Rock, Visual Kei, call it what you want, how it had a very big impact in helping us define our sexualities, our gender expression, our whole thing. It had a really, really big influence on us meeting, us growing together, and maybe even the style, somewhat, that we have today.
Yeah, definitely.
Whatever the case may be, it definitely played a much bigger role than I think we have given it credit for.
Yeah, or we knew at the time.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because back then we didn't discuss all of those things as much, but looking back, a lot of things make a lot of sense.
Yeah, I've rationalized this so much. Like, that was really the venue that I could discover myself in. So we figured it would be fun to talk about.
Yeah.
Anya, can you give us a super duper quick definition? What is J-Rock? What is Visual Kei? Please, Anya, please, can you describe it for us?
So it's like this super visual style that has influences from goth, punk,
Glam.
yeah, all these dark genderfuckery vibes that can be expressed in a lot of different ways. It is kind of similar to the glam rock-ish that we know, where music and style go together and stuff like that. Yeah, but if you want to know more about it, you can Google it, because we want to get into the fun stuff.
Yeah.
The rest will make sense from context. Jackie and I, we met through the Danish J-Rock scene that was a whole thing back in the day around 2007. And we both got into J-Rock independently of each other. So that was a thing before we met. I was part of a friend group back in the day that was really...
No, we're talking. Okay, shh. Oh.
I was part of a friend group back in the day that was really into the whole manga anime thing. And I discovered J-Rock through one of my friends who had found this music and presented it to me. And I liked the music immediately, even though I had never been into rock music before at all. But then I saw these people and how they looked. And that was a whole different thing, because I had never seen people looking like that.
That was a game changer.
It was a game changer. My life was changed from that point on.
How did I get into it? Well, what can I say? I was young, I was foolish, I was very open to new experiences, and I was really, really, really into stuff like Nightwish at the time. I found myself in a very goth camp, and I started playing guitar at the time, and I was really wanting to get into a band, and like I was browsing through social media. Shout out to Ato. And I found this profile that had this really interesting picture as a background. It's very dark gothic. You've got some candles. You've got like these extremely fierce looking ladies. I thought at the time, turned out it was like an all-male band. And I think that sort of got me hooked immediately, because I was in the throes of like gender desperation, and this show of the show of blatant nonconformity and androgyny and very, very feminine way of combining looks with metal, with like it was everything. So I started playing in a band with this guy who was looking for a guitarist, actually. Played J-Rock for a couple of years, met Anya in that scene, had a really good time. So how did it affect our sexualities, gender identities, or what have you?
Jackie goes first, I think, because I think it had a very big impact on your life.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say. For me, I think the primary thing it did for me was give me an outlet for a lot of frustration that was building up as a young teen, really, really struggling with like oncoming dysphoria and like wanting to transition but not really knowing what that meant or how, or even that it was a possibility. Like looking at all these guys, essentially, who can put on some awesome makeup and play some hardcore music, and they can just do that. Like that was transcendental to me. I was like, I'm gonna join that circus. That's gonna be amazing. I mean, that's the days when I learned to do my makeup, when I learned to do like, hair and learned to lace a corset, stuff like that. I mean, it was great. Didn't really necessarily prepare me for being trans, but it sure was fun. It was sort of like a black box in a way.
Yeah, exactly. It was a room to experiment because there were no rules about how you had to look or how you had to express gender.
Like looking kind of feminine and like having that whole thing. I think that was kind of like, that was really weird to have that being like, oh, that is nice in this community, which definitely wasn't the case outside of this community.
And it was also a space where you didn't have to do anything. You didn't have to transition or anything.
No.
Like you could remain a guy and still look exactly how you wanted and do all the things you wanted.
Exactly.
So it was a kind of it was a really nice way to be able to experiment without having to define a whole lot of things or jump right into anything.
Yeah. And that's my story. Can you tell me a bit about how it changed your outlook on your sexuality and gender identity?
So for you, it definitely affected your gender identity a whole lot.
Yep.
But for me, it was more of a sexuality.
A sexual awakening.
A sexual awakening, if you will.
If you must.
If you must, yeah, that was what I was going to say. Before then, around 2007, when I was 14, I hadn't really thought much about my sexuality, which in hindsight is kind of weird because I definitely had a thing for girls. But I just never thought much of it back then. I guess at that point I considered myself straight because that was how I was raised. I was always told that I would end up with a man.
Got him.
Got him. I kind of assumed that was what was going to happen, even though I'd never really felt attraction for any of the my peer boys, any of the boys my age or the celebrities in magazines or stuff like that. It wasn't. I don't know.
You didn't see like Brad Pitt or George Clooney, which was that was the 2000. You didn't see them, and you went, oh yeah.
Yeah, I see it. Yeah. No, never. Like I had the posters at home from the magazines, and they were all over the classrooms and stuff. And I was like, sure, I guess that's gonna be attractive someday. You know?
Head.
I was like, sure, that's what a man's supposed to look like. And I didn't have any feelings other than that. But then I was presented to these men.
Oh.
And then I understood what attraction is supposed to feel like. Because these men in a full face of makeup and huge hair and bare thighs, fishnet stockings, all these kind of things.
It hits differently, doesn't it?
It sure does. I was sold. That's when I understood what attraction is supposed to feel like. I had never experienced anything like that from looking at another human before. If men could look like that, I was suddenly very into men.
It's a baby man.
It's a boy.
Oh.
You don't want mama in your face?
Why doesn't he love me?
He does. Baby.
Do you think he knows I'm not his biological mother?
No. And then I found out there were women looking like that too. And then I was very into women as well. I'm a very visual person. I'm very attracted to style and appearance and strong point of view. Gender fuckery. We've been over this before. Joined by the boy.
Oh, you can hardly.
Can you see his little triangle? No. Yes. So of course this was also what made us attracted to each other essentially. There was a blurring of gender and queerness, and it was very in this subculture where we kind of had our teen years. It was not seen as weird or it didn't make you an outsider. It actually the more gender fucked you look, the more cool you were.
That was my experience as well. I mean I went to those parties and I really had a blast, and I felt like I could be myself in a way that I couldn't in the normal setting of like a classroom of like high school or whatever. Like this was where I lived. I think at some point I may have made out with like most of the people there.
Definitely.
Definitely.
That's how we met.
That's how we met. We kept going back to each other.
Yeah.
Oh, baby, goodbye.
So yeah, thinking back, this whole community was really, really special, I think. I have a lot of fond memories of that time and the way we could all come together and just kind of be ourselves.
Exactly. I think it made me the person I am today. Like, I think it broadened the way I see the human experience, and I think I've taken that with me.
That's sweet.
I've also taken you with me,
Yeah.
so I got two good things from it.
Definitely. And looking back, it was such a gay, super queer experience growing up in this
right?
community. And none of us thought much of it at the time.
No.
Everyone was kind of bisexual. It was like
Yeah,
the thing.
at least at the time, as far as we know. Being young, experimenting,
Yeah.
having a good time.
There were no limits, no... It was beautiful. I'm very grateful to have had my teen years in that community.
Exactly. And I actually asked Anya to be my girlfriend at a concert that we all went to.
Yeah.
So
Japanese rock band.
that's something. All in all, we were fairly impressed with the display of like brazen gender fuckery and like the whole aesthetic ideal of like the musicians, the people we followed back then. I don't think I would change anything. I think I had a grand old time.
Yeah. And I'm happy where it led us both today.
Exactly, me too. Have you ever felt that way about like a musician or like a genre or art? Like something that when you encountered it like changed something in you and you've taken that with you? Like, tell us about it in the comments.
We hope you liked this video, and if you did, you can subscribe for more.
It's true.
You can also hit the bell icon if you want to be notified whenever we make new videos so you don't miss them. We try to upload every Sunday, but if you want more of us in the meantime, you can find us on Instagram. We hope to see you next time.
Bye! There's a cat. Okay. Welcome to the house of cats, and we have Meow Meow here. We really need to workshop a new like intro card or whatever you want to call it. Like we do something or we are something, and right now we don't have anything, so we're wives versus world. And welcome.